Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. This is our monthly media briefing for the month of April 2023. As you know, we like to hold these every single month to provide an update on our work here at City Hall, as well as a look ahead to what we'll be doing in the month ahead at the City of San Diego. And of course, as always, take your questions on any of the issues that you may have on your minds. I want to start off by congratulating San Diego State University, as well as our Aztecs men's basketball team, for their amazing, historic performance in the NCAA tournament. The buzzer beater at the Final Four is something that will be forever a part of San Diego sports history. I'm sure there'll be murals all across the city in short order to this amazing feat, and we look forward to celebrating the team this Saturday. I love what the team has done to be able to bring our city together, give us something to cheer for, to get excited for, to beam with pride with, and of course to believe in. And as I mentioned, we'll look forward to celebrating this historic victory for the team with San Diegans this Saturday evening at Snapdragon Stadium. I believe SDSU Athletics has put out a media advisory with details on that event. I look forward to being there in person with them. Speaking of putting points on the board, we have a packed agenda this month here at the city with several major initiatives that we've been working on for the last year, reaching critical milestones that I'd like to share with you this morning. First, next Friday, I will propose let me take a step back. Next Friday, I will announce my proposed budget for fiscal year 2024, which will begin on July the 1st. Now, if you've been paying attention to my administration's top priorities, there won't be a lot of surprises in this budget announcement. We will focus on continuing to make progress on homelessness, on road repair, on affordable housing production, on keeping our community safe, and importantly, on getting things done for San Diego. So look forward to that announcement with many of you next Friday. Also next week, we have two key issues that will be before the City Council's Land Use and Housing Committee. The first is the unsafe camping ordinance, which has been championed by City Council member Stephen Whitburn. Reminder that this ordinance would prohibit camping in the public right-of-way near certain uses like schools, homeless shelters, transit hubs, and in sensitive areas like canyons, riverbeds, and certain parks. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, I stood with Councilmember Whitburn to announce my support for this measure as a part of a comprehensive plan to address homelessness in San Diego. I remain supportive of this measure, and I am again asking the City Council to send me an ordinance that I can sign. I also want to make it crystal clear that this ordinance should not be taken in isolation. We are simultaneously working to identify locations to establish safe sleeping sites in the city of San Diego. These would be sanctioned sites where people living in tents can go that does not block the public right-of-way or increase the danger to themselves or to the general public. At these sites, we would have access to hygiene and supportive services like those that are offered at our existing homeless shelters that have been so successful. We are currently evaluating multiple sites in various locations, and we look forward to sharing more information about that later this month or early next. Also this month, we will be opening our Rose Canyon Safe Parking site, which is almost ready for its operator, Jewish Family Service, to welcome its first program participants. Again, something I look forward to sharing with all of you in detail very soon. The other item on the next week's City Council Land Use and Housing Committee agenda is the notice of availability for our Civic Center properties, as well as two other underutilized downtown city-owned properties that can be deployed for housing under the state's Surplus Land Act. These additional properties are the Housing Navigation Center that many of you may recall is the former indoor skydiving facility on Imperial Avenue that my predecessor purchased back in 2017. The other property is the Old Central Library, which we are currently using as a temporary homeless shelter, but is an old building that has been badly vandalized and has after been sitting vacant for nearly a decade. In both of these cases, we are looking at that land that is valuable and underutilized and anticipating that it can be deployed for housing, shelter, or a combination of both. The Civic Center notice of availability will be offered for private developers to tell us what they envision for the 6 blocks in the Civic Core, which includes the building that we're standing on, the land that the building we're standing in now sits on, Golden Hall, the City Operations Building across First Avenue, Civic Center Plaza and 101 Ash Street buildings, and the Civic Theater and Plaza. I see it as a once-in-a-generation opportunity for our city to transform decrepit, inefficient buildings and underutilized space into potentially thousands of affordable homes and public amenities that can be better used by the public here in our civic core, and to consolidate the city's downtown workforce into a single administration building that is functional, efficient, and welcoming to the public. Right now, we spend millions of dollars annually leasing office space across the city, not to mention the millions more than we should spend on operations and maintenance of these older, dilapidated structures. This project, this opportunity, has the potential of making our government more efficient, saving taxpayer dollars, and can have positive impacts not just in downtown, but all across the city of San Diego. As everyone knows, fixing the dam roads is a top priority of my administration. And I want to start simply by expressing my appreciation to the people that work in our Department of Transportation who have been doing the work of repairing our roads under extremely difficult circumstances. And let me tell you a little bit more about that. Recent rains and cold temperatures has made repaving our roads extremely difficult. Here's a fact. 70 days this year have been unavailable to us to do critical road repairs in the city because of rainy conditions and low temperatures. San Diegans may not know that it's actually impossible to properly repair roads when the temperature is below 50 degrees. The asphalt simply won't adhere to the ground. And so as a consequence, the low temperatures and the rain that all of us have been complaining about, and rightly so, has had the additional negative impact of making it nearly impossible for 70 of the first 90 days of this year to actually do the kind of repair work that we need to have done in our city. Good news is temperatures are warming up and the rain seems to have passed for now, and so we'll be getting to work to aggressively address potholes and to completely overlay major streets across the city. This spring, we will be doing full repaving projects on La Jolla Parkway, La Media Road and Otay Mesa, Convoy Street and Kearny Mesa, Azucar Way and Rancho Bernardo, and several other streets across the city. We are on track to complete 63 miles of overlay that is budgeted in our current fiscal year. So I encourage San Diegans to travel safely as they see these repair crews across the city this spring and summer. From the beginning of this process of updating this necessary ordinance, my message has been simple. If you break it, you must fix it. And this is important to note that this includes public utilities, the city included. Out of our City Council's committee last November, and I look forward to the full City Council's consideration and hopeful support later this month. Finally, our push to repair streetlights picks up steam this spring as well. Monday is the start date for our contract with an outside electrical firm that is going to help us reduce the backlog of repairs that has grown over the years. We have been short-staffed for some time when it comes to the number of electricians that repair streetlights in our city, which is a reminder that this is not simply switching out a light bulb. Often this involves rewiring and other complicated repairs that make this process take longer and require more level of skill. These contracted electricians are going to augment our existing city workforce to help us clear out the backlog over time and get the workload down to a level that city workers can manage and keep up with. Hope that you can tell from all of these updates, from our budget introduction, the unsafe camping ordinance, the safe sleeping initiative, road repairs, streetlight repairs. What you see is we are focused on maintaining San Diego as a well-functioning city where we're executing on the basics day in and day out. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that folks may have.
Mayor Todd Gloria,
yes.
Neil Watson with ABC 10 News.
Welcome.
What is your opinion on the Dream for All program that will help people with down payments on their home given the housing crisis?
I love that you asked about that because I'm concerned that not enough people know about it. So if you're doing a story about this, this is good. This is honestly, from what I can tell, something that can be incredibly powerful for working and middle-class families all across the state of California, and I want to make sure San Diegans are taking advantage of it. We want to make sure our fair share of these resources come to our community. What does this do? Well, this provides what is often the biggest barrier to folks being able to become homeowners, particularly here in our city with high housing costs, which is helping with the down payment. In exchange for public assistance, the state fund, grant fund, folks give up a little bit of their equity or have to repay that advance if they sell their home in the future. It is a minor, I think, exchange in order for the opportunity to actually achieve home ownership, the savings that often come with that, the security and the wealth creation that comes with that. This was a brilliant idea that the state legislature and the governor signed into law not long ago. It's coming online now. I have already in the last week heard from multiple people, just organically, who are been looking at the dream of home ownership and feeling as though it's impossible. Don't get me wrong, it's still going to be difficult. But what this is a little bit of help for those folks who often feel like there is no help out there for them. These are the folks I often am most concerned about, people who earn too much to qualify for any assistance programs, but who don't earn enough to be able to reasonably afford the average home in San Diego. So I really want San Diegans to look at this program, get educated, ask your mortgage lender, your realtor about it, and figure out how this might help you finally get over that hump and be able to buy a home in our great city and be able to put down roots in our city. This is, sorry, I start to get a little passionate about it, but I feel this strongly about it, so I really appreciate you asking. I recognize for a lot of folks, they just don't think they can own a home in San Diego. And I recognize how difficult that is. But it's so important for family stability, for wealth creation, for getting long-term residents in our city. We don't want to be a place where folks just come for a little bit and then go away. We want people to stay here, raise a family, build wealth, see a future for themselves. And so this program, I think, has the potential of doing that. Again, the program particulars are very interesting, and just encourage folks to take a look at it. I think what you'll find is you probably do qualify in the way that you don't for other low-income programs. This really isn't for low-income. This is a lot of folks earning, I think, over $200,000 a year could potentially qualify for this. Forgive me if I'm just a little bit wrong on the number, but point is that this is, I think, a game changer for people's ability to be able to buy a home in California, and immense gratitude to our legislature, and in particular State Senator Tony Atkins, who I know had a very important role in actually making this come to fruition. It's out there. Make use of it. Buy a home in San Diego. Put down roots here. Let's grow a city with long-term residents who are invested in the future of San Diego. Who else? Anyone else?
I have another question.
Please.
What's your reaction to the allegations against Supervisor Nathan Fletcher and his resignation?
I addressed this last night at the 6 p.m. Broadcast on CBS, but I would simply just say that these accusations appear to be very serious and warrant a full and independent investigation. I believe actually right now the MTS board is meeting to discuss this in closed session. My hope is that is the start of a process that brings all the information to light and allows us to address the concerns and then move forward and go about the business of running the MTS transit system, as well as the County of San Diego. I have full confidence in County Board Chair Nora Vargas and Acting MTS Chair Stephen Whitburn to address the concerns in their respective agencies with regard to the fallout from the supervisor's resignation. My focus will be to support them as best I can and make sure that we're moving forward as a community to address the issues that San Diegans need addressed today. I would just simply add that it's very important that we do stay focused on the issues at hand. The city and the county have been working closely on a multitude of really important initiatives. I'm thinking particularly of some homeless prevention efforts, as well as some behavioral health and mental health reforms. Those cannot get lost in this transition as we deal with a vacancy at the Board of Supervisors and we have transitions in leadership. It's very important that we compete as a city and county for needed state dollars that could actually help us dramatically increase the amount of permanent supportive housing we have in San Diego. There's a home key application that's coming available this month, and we have to be able to apply for it jointly in order to bring those dollars down. So that's an important key. The other one is Care Court was working with the county last year to get the first major behavioral health reform passed in the state of California in nearly 60 years. The County of San Diego is committed to go first and implement that this year by no later than about October of this year. And it's really critical that those initiatives move forward. Right now, while it's important to do the investigation, and I think the supervisor's resignation was necessary and appropriate, at the bottom line, end of the day, San Diegans need to see government delivering for them, and we have to stay focused on these initiatives. And for the city-county relationship, that's mental health reform and homelessness prevention. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
It's about Mr. Fletcher. Can he vote in the situation right now? He can vote
At the county? So my understanding.
For the next supervisor.
Oh.
The election of the next supervisor.
I don't know about his ability to vote to replace himself. I believe that's not the case, but my understanding is he's currently intending to stay as a county supervisor until May 15th, so theoretically he could vote on any number of issues between now and then. I don't know how that affects his vacant status. In fact, I believe he probably couldn't, because you have to declare the seat vacant, and then the remaining board members will make a decision about whether to appoint someone or to have a special election to replace him. Whatever they choose, it's important that the folks in the 4th Supervisorial District have representation, and I hope whatever they choose that we can get a representative there quickly so that the valid and necessary needs of those communities are heard and represented at the county level.
About the issue, there are many potoles potholes or batches in Spanish. I don't know what the name.
Puddles. Oh, yes.
In the ways.
Horrible. Yeah.
What are doing in the
Yeah.
in mayor for this?
I may have covered this before you came in, and I apologize if that's the case. So there are a lot of potholes, no question. Potholes are caused by rain damage, usually water seeping into cracks in the road that exacerbate that crack and create the pothole. Why is this getting worse? Well, two things. One, we've had a lot of rain. But also when it's raining and when the temperatures are cold, we're not able to perform repairs. Asphalt won't adhere when the temperatures are below 50 degrees, and when it's raining. So for 70 of the first 90 days of this year, we haven't been able to perform the kinds of repairs that we normally would do. So we're getting about 1,500 complaints a week for potholes across the city. And if, for the vast majority of that time, we haven't been able to perform repairs, you understand very quickly why there's so many potholes. You say, well, Mayor, that's nice, but what are you doing about it? Well, Mother Nature is starting to help, by making the weather improve and temperatures rise and no rain. And then what we've done is direct staff to be out there filling potholes basically every day of the week, utilizing the 9 repair crews that we have, working essentially around the clock to perform this work. We have tried to do some process improvements internally because one of the complaints that I personally have is that we've been able to go out and repair a pothole, but not repair the next one that's just down the street. And we really need to make sure that we fill everything that is there when we go out there. It's a big city. We have nearly 3,000 miles of roads. So if we're going to transit out to some far edge of the city, let's try and make sure we get all the potholes that are out there. But basically, Mother Nature is starting to comply. That's good. We have all hands on deck on this issue. That's excellent. And we just need San Diegans to be partners in this effort. I understand potholes are frustrating. Totally get it. But we need their partnership in reporting the potholes that are out there. The best way to do that is to use the Get It Done app. That goes straight from your smartphone to the desk of the repair crews at our city work yards. And it means that typically we can repair most potholes in just a couple of days. We can only fix those that we know about. I want to assure you, as the mayor goes around the city, I'm reporting potholes myself on the Get It Done app. But I ask for people's partnership in reporting what's out there, and just know that we have crews that are prepared to go out and repair them. And as long as Mother Nature continues to work with us, I believe we'll be able to get that backlog down in the next month or so. Anyone else?
One more question.
Yeah.
Last month we did a story on the Golden Hall homeless shelter
Yes.
closing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we spoke with the city about why and the plans moving forward for that facility.
Yeah, thank you for that question as well, in part because some reporting, not you, was patently false. So I'm happy to appreciate the chance to just clarify what's going on. And then importantly, this was, I think we could have did a better job rolling this out. So let me tell you a couple things. One is that Golden Hall is a temporary facility. It was established by the previous administration as a part of homelessness response efforts. It was never intended to necessarily be there permanently because it's a convention hall, not a residential facility. So it's operating under a temporary permit, and our ability to continue that temporary permit is coming to an end. Particularly, there's some challenges around fire suppression in that building that the fire marshal, really, we either need to make a $4 million investment to install fire sprinklers or relocate these individuals. As I already mentioned, on next week, we're having the city council take the first vote towards trying to replace that building along these other ones downtown with more affordable housing. So we don't anticipate, hopefully, if everything goes right, to have Golden Hall here for very long, right? That we will redevelop this spot and have a new city administration building along with a lot of affordable homes for folks. So invest millions of dollars in a temporary facility or relocate folks. We're going to choose to relocate folks. Golden Hall is home to roughly about 500 people, 3 sort of cohorts of folks, transition age youth, families, and single adults. The families we are planning to relocate to the Travelodge Hotel in Barrio Logan that we've recently leased. That relocation will happen relatively soon. The transition age youth, we believe we have some options for. Probably the most likely, or I think one that's been discussed, is relocating them to the Smart Corner, which is at 12th and Imperial, 11th and Imperial. I'm sorry, 12th and Broadway or 11th and Broadway, that intersection. And so that's the likely location for them. The single adults we're still working on. Here's the deal. This is not closed now. and it's not closing exactly soon. We think we have probably as many as 8 months to be able to perform this relocation. And I would remind people that we did that very recently. A few months ago, there was a roof leak at Golden Hall, and we had to temporarily relocate all 500 of those folks to other locations for about a week's time where those repairs were done. We did that. We were able to move folks to another location, keep them suitably housed, and then bring them back after the repairs were done. And reminder that we once had over 1,000 homeless people at the San Diego Convention Center during the height of the pandemic. When we had to wind down that particular program because we ran out of funding, we were able to successfully relocate all of those individuals to other shelters. No one went to the streets. So what I'm saying is that we're making the decision to wind down operations at Golden Hall, because that building will eventually be replaced with affordable housing, and we don't want to invest the millions of limited taxpayer dollars in something that we'd only get a few more months or a few more years worth of use. We have already successful plans for families. We believe we have a path for youth, and we're working currently for the adults, and I believe we have plenty of time to be able to successfully do that, just as we've done twice before at this very same facility. Of course. Anyone else? Thank you so much for being here this morning. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you all for a number of announcements over the next month that I announced today, and probably most importantly next Friday with the budget. So look forward to seeing you then. Thank you, guys.